I love money. So, when Mermaid CEO Jake Wilson needed a marriage partner, I didn't hesitate to get married to him. Right away, the next year we had a son. Jake was often away from home, but he gave me $5 million every month. Our son was as cold as his dad, but he always came first in every exam, making me the envy of all the other parents. I had both respect and, well, this was literally my dream life. Then suddenly, one day I got bound to a system that demanded I divorce him and make the father and son chase after me desperate. If I didn't comply, I would be eliminated immediately. I had no choice but to obey. Later, Jake locked me in a room, his fishtail wrapped tightly around me, his voice hurt and hoarse. Baby, please don't hate my tail, okay? It can make you happy. Wait, isn't this supposed to be a chase after wife story? System? Did you grab the wrong script? This year marks the 8th year of my marriage to Jake. I was getting ready for my son, Ryan Wilson's parent-teacher. In the classroom, Ryan became the teacher's focus of praise again because he won first place in last month's math competition. Other parents came to ask me for parenting advice. I looked at Ryan's expressionless face, cleared my throat, and said, seriously, we need to give children a happy childhood. Only when they're happy can they better develop their motivation to learn. The parents nodded and took notes. Frantically, they immediately went home and canceled their kids' after-school tutoring under the admiring gazes of the children. I left with Ryan taking nothing but glory, no choice. Once you've been through hardship, you always want to help others. In the car, Ryan's face grew colder. He quietly pulled his hand away, seemingly unhappy that so many kids liked me. I took out his favorite candy from my bag, unwrapped it, and put in his mouth. Only then did Ryan's expression soften slightly. He looked so cute being serious that I couldn't help but kiss his cheek. With a loud mooah, Ryan's body stiffened suddenly, and he wiped his face. Grandma said, saliva has lots of germs. People can't just kiss randomly. Though he rejected me, I didn't mind at all because I noticed that while Ryan seemed resistant and turned away, his ears were obviously red. He really couldn't hide his feelings. At his age, actually, it was normal that Ryan wasn't close to me. Since he was born, he'd been raised by Jake's 2 elderly relatives. The heir to the Wilson family had things to learn that I, a girl from an ordinary family, couldn't teach. I didn't blame the elderly relatives. On the contrary, I was grateful to them. After all, I'd live longer than them, and if they raised the child well, I'd be the one who ultimately benefited. When we got home, Jake was reading documents on the sofa with his secretary, Emma, standing beside him. See me come in, Emma became noticeably more formal. Hello, Mrs. Wilson. I'm here to deliver documents to Mr. Wilson. Before I could speak, a little guy beside me excitedly shouted, Aunt Emma. Then he pulled out several workbooks. You came at the perfect time. I have several problems I can't solve. Can you teach me? Emma graduated from a top-stick university and later studied at an Ivy League school abroad. She was a typical high IQ talent, so no wonder my son was so happy to see her. After all, besides family, he could have many people he liked. Emma looked at me with some concern, but I just put my hands together. Please teach him. I really don't understand those problems. Jake beside us couldn't help but laugh. I glared at him, and he barely managed to stop laughing. Why not use free tutoring when it's available? This way I didn't have to supervise Ryan studying. God knows how much I suffered looking at those math competition problems. Emma was completely stunned by my reaction. No wonder she was nervous. Everyone in their circle was saying Emma was the one Jake really wanted to marry. They were a perfect match, both talented and beautiful, working together seamlessly in business. Compared to me, someone who knew nothing and only loved money, they were indeed more compatible. Emma was probably worried I'd be bothered by the outside rumors, but I really didn't care. I knew before marriage that Jake didn't love me naturally. I wouldn't expect to change that after marriage. Since childhood, I knew that if I had to choose between money and people, I would choose money without hesitation. Watching Emma being pulled upstairs by Ryan, I collapsed on the sofa in relief and let out a long sigh. Jake beside me was still working seriously. His high nose bridge supported gold-rimmed glasses, giving him a refined and restrained appearance. I admit half the reason I agreed so quickly was because of his looks. Why did you get off work so early today? Jake paused, and turning the page, his earlier smile gone, his tone turned cold. Today is our wedding anniversary. I was stunned for a moment, counted the days, and it really was every year at this time, Jake would come home early to spend our anniversary with me, but I had never remembered it even once. I really couldn't understand why a big company CEO would remember such things. After Emma finished tutoring and left, our family of three started dinner. Speaking of which, it was quite rude. Emma had taught Ryan for so long, yet he didn't think to invite her to stay for dinner. The meal was lavish, clearly carefully prepared. I was originally uninterested until Jake took out an exquisite sapphire necklace and presented it to me. Only then did my eyes regain their sparkle. Do you like it? Jake asked me. I nodded repeatedly. I love it so much. Thank you, honey. Hearing the word honey, Jake's mouth curved up almost imperceptibly, just as I was calculating how much this necklace was worth. A childish voice sounded in my mind. Congratulations, host, for binding with a chase after wife system. Before I knew what was happening, a series of beginner guides appeared before me. It turned out the world I was in was from a chase after wife novel, and I was the theme female lead of this novel with Jake as the male lead. Then the system started guiding me to answer questions. Does your husband's coldness make you feel unwilling and sad? With the system's expected voice, I chose no. Without hesitation, the system was stunned and continued asking in disbelief compared to money. Do you hope more to receive care from your husband and son? I continued choosing no. What a joke with money. Who needs care? This system clearly had never worked a job. After I chose no for several consecutive questions, the system went completely crazy. The childish voice instantly changed to a greasy middle-aged man. Who the heck bound me to such a money obsessed host? Finally, the system took a deep breath and tried to calmly notify me to immediately divorce Jake, start my Comeback journey, become a boss lady, and make the father and son chase after me. Desperately, I directly refused. Not everyone had the ability to become a boss lady. I knew from the beginning that Jake didn't love me. People can't have everything. I was already very satisfied with my current life. The system told me, you've already bound. With the system, if you don't agree, you'll be eliminated. I raised an eyebrow. I don't believe you. The next second I fainted. Okay, I believed it. In my last glimpse, I saw Jake and Ryan's anxious expressions. The next day, when I woke up, I was already in the hospital. Jake was working beside me. Seeing me wake up, he poured me a cup of hot water. Ryan also took care of you. All night here, he finally couldn't hold on and fell asleep. So I had Uncle Chun taken come home to rest. I nodded. With the system's urging voice in my head, I could only painfully say, Jay, let's get divorced. No choice between money and life. I could only choose life. Otherwise, I'd have money but no life to spend. That Jake's movement paused. After a long while, he said, give me a reason. I repeated what the system taught me. I'm tired of your coldness. Since you don't love me, I'll free you and free myself too. After saying this, I got goosebumps all over. I silently complained in my heart. How many cheesy novels did the system read? Who talks like this normally? The system said quietly post, I can't hear your thoughts. Sorry, I said it for you to hear. You want me to follow orders and have a good attitude. We're such a good deal. Jake obviously didn't believe it. No wonder. He knew me too well. That's not a reason. Give me another one. I could only close my eyes and shout, I hate your fishtail every time. It makes me so uncomfortable. I feel sick just thinking about it. After hearing this, Jake stared at me for a long time. I knew my words weren't convincing. After all, just 2 days ago, I was kissing and touching his tail, getting weak all over from the tail's touch, begging for mercy. Now, for the sake of divorce, I was talking nonsense and being ungrateful. But they say a fishtail is the symbol of a mermaid's identity and also their second. No mermaid could tolerate others humiliating their tail. Jake was no exception. Jake stared at me, his eyes locking onto mine. For a fleeting second, the golden rims of his glasses caught the sterile hospital light, hiding the absolute devastation. In his irises, mermaids were intensely proud creatures. To insult a mermaid's tail was akin to stepping on their soul. I held my breath, waiting for the anger. Instead, a terrifying, suffocating calmness washed over him. His pupils dilated, swallowing the gold until his eyes were pure obsidian, a dead giveaway that his predatory instincts were fighting a losing battle against his heartbreak. You feel sick just thinking about it, he repeated. His voice was no longer the refined tone of a CEO, but something lower, reverberating with a strange, unnatural frequency that made the water in my bedside cup tremble. Yes, I forced myself to say, digging my nails into my palms. I'm sorry, my beautiful Aiden. I'm so sorry. Ding. The greasy voice of a system echoed in my skull. Good job, host. Male leads. Affection is surely turning to resentment. Progress 10%. Keep it up. Jake slowly stood up. He didn't yell. He didn't break anything. He just carefully buttoned his suit jacket, his movements. Mechanical, if that is what you truly want, he said, his voice completely hollow. I will have the lawyer's draft. The papers, rest well. He turned and walked out. The moment the door clicked shut, I buried my face in the pillow. I wasn't crying over the lost romance. I was mourning my $5 million a month. 3 days later, the divorce were placed in front of me in Jake's sprawling, mahogany-paneled office. Jake sat across from me, radiating a chilling aura that had the legal team sweating bullets. I picked up the document, skimming to the only part that mattered, the asset division. My eyes nearly popped out of my skull. $10 billion, 3 private islands, a luxury yacht, 40% of the Wilson Corporation's liquid shares, and a literal castle in Switzerland. I choked on my own spit. Wait, if getting divorced makes me this rich, why didn't I do it sooner? Host, wait. The system panicked in my head. This isn't how the script goes. You're supposed to be kicked out with nothing, wander the streets in the rain, and slowly build a business empire from scratch out of sheer spite. Are you an idiot? I replied mentally, signing my name with a flourish. He's the CEO of a global conglomerate, not a cheapskate. Why would I wander in the rain when I can take a helicopter to my new castle? I handed the pen back, suppressing the urge to kiss the contract. I looked up to give Jake a professionally mournful nod, but my breath hitched. He was staring at my signature, his jaw tight, his knuckles entirely white. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I will have Uncle Chin pack your things, Jake said, his voice devoid of warmth. Ryan has been informed. He refuses to come out of his room. A sharp pang hit my chest. Right. Ryan, the little Sandra, who secretly loved my kisses. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Tell him I'll visit. He doesn't want to see you, Jake replied coldly, refusing to meet my eyes. He said, if you can throw us away so easily, he doesn't need you either. I felt like I'd been slapped, but the system was cheering wildly. Yes, the father-son estrangement is complete. Now, commence the boss lady comeback arc. I took my copy of the contract, stood up and walked out. I didn't look back. If I did, I knew I would crack. For the next 6 months, I lived precisely how a wildly wealthy, freshly divorced woman should live. I bought a massive penthouse overlooking the city. I hired a team of elite financial advisors to manage my newly acquired billions. The system kept urging me to start a fashion brand, an entertainment company, or something glamorous to prove my worth to Jake. Look, I told the greasy voice in my head while lounging by my indoor pool, sipping a cocktail. I have $10 billion. If I start a company from scratch, I have to work. I hate working. I love money. The best way to make money without working is investing. So I bought out a top-tier venture capital firm, slapped my name on it, and hired the most ruthless, sleep-deprived wall street sharks I could find. I paid them double the market rate and told them to make me richer. Within months, I was hailed in the media as a mysterious investment genius. I literally didn't do anything but approve their decisions. While getting manicures, everything was Perfect, except the house was too quiet. I missed the sound of Jake's low voice. Reading stock reports, I missed Ryan, pretending he didn't want the snacks I baked, only to sneak into the kitchenette. Midnight to eat them all. I missed the way Jake's tail would sometimes slip out when he was utterly relaxed, rapping. Around my ankle under the covers, no I. Slap my cheeks, focus on the money. Then the chase after wife plot finally kicked in. It started at a high society charity gala. I wore a backless emerald green silk dress that cost more than A. Sports car. I was there to bid on A. Useless painting to maintain my eccentric billionaire persona. The crowd parted like the Red Sea as Jake walked in. He looked breathtaking, but devastatingly sharp. He had lost weight, his cheekbones cutting like glass, and the cold, unapproachable aura he naturally possessed had mutated into something violently intimidating, right? Beside him was Emma, holding a clipboard and looking like she wanted to die. I tried to slip out the side door, but a small hand grabbed my dress. I looked down. Ryan, my 8-year-old son, stood there in a tailored tuxedo. He looked up at me, his eyes red-rimmed. He had grown taller, but his face was terrifyingly pale. Before I could speak, he threw his arms around my waist and buried his face in my stomach. You liar, he muffled. Into the silk. You said you'd visit. You never came. My heart shattered into a million jagged pieces. I knelt down, ignoring the gasps of the socialites around us, and hugged him tight. He smelled like expensive fabric softener and little boy sweat. I'm sorry, baby. I thought you didn't want to see me. I was mad, he cried, finally acting his age. Dad is crazy. The house is freezing all the time because he keeps turning down the thermostat to sit in the ice bath. Grandma and Grandpa can't stop him. You have to come home. Ice bath. Mermaids only retreated to freezing water when they were physically sick or in severe emotional distress. Suddenly, a shadow fell over us. I looked up. Jake was staring down at me, his eyes burning with a dark, suffocating intensity. Mrs. Emma started, then corrected herself frantically. Ms. Wilson, please. We need to talk. I handed Ryan to Emma, who awkwardly patted his back and stood to face my ex-husband. Jake, you look terrible. Thank you, he sneered, though his voice cracked. I hear you are doing exceptionally well. An investment genius. It seems shaking off. Your dead weight of a family was exactly the career move you needed. Perfect. The system roared. Now slap him. Tell him he's trash and you're the queen of the world. I ignored the system. Jake. Ryan says you're sitting in ice baths. What's wrong with your health? Jake stepped closer. The scent of ocean water and rain rolled off him, intoxicating and dangerous. Why do you care? You hate everything about what I am. You made that perfectly clear. He leaned in, his lips brushing my ear, sending a violent shiver down my spine. Enjoy your money, honey. He turned and walked away, taking Ryan with him. Ryan reached out for me, but Jake held him firm. That night I couldn't sleep. The system was lecturing me about missing a prime face-slapping opportunity, but I wasn't listening. I opened my laptop and hacked into the deep web archives I had paid an exorbitant sum to access. I searched for mermaid biology, Mermaids are strictly monogamous, the text read. Once a mate is chosen, their biological frequency sinks. Severing the bond forcefully leads to abyssal sickness. The mermaid's body temperature plummets, their instincts turn feral, and without their mate, their organs eventually shut down. The mortality rate is 100%. My blood ran cold. The system didn't know. The stupid, cheap web novel system treated him like a normal human CEO. It didn't factor in his species. By forcing me to leave him, the system was literally murdering him. System, I whispered in the dark room. If Jake dies, what happens to the plot? Error, the system beeped. The male lead cannot die. He will eventually realize his mistakes and beg for your forgiveness on his knees in the pouring rain. You idiot, I hissed, slamming a laptop shut. He's not going to beg. He's going to die of hypothermia. I didn't care about the rules anymore. I loved money, yes, but the money came from him. And somewhere along the way, between the $5 million allowances and the sapphire necklaces and the quiet dinners, I had fallen in love with my husband. The next evening, I didn't wait for the plot to come to me. I drove my sports car straight to Jake's private coastal villa. The security guards tried to stop me, but I still knew the override codes. I slammed the front door open. The house was freezing. Frost literally coated the windows. Jake, I yelled, running through the grand hallways. Ryan, Emma came running out of the kitchen, wrapped in a heavy winter coat, carrying a tray of hot tea. Ms. Wilson, thank God. Ryan is at his grandparents' house, but Mr. Wilson, he locked himself in the basement pool room. He fired everyone this morning. I only stayed because he looked like he was dying. Give me the keys, I demanded. She didn't hesitate. I sprinted down the stairs to the sub-basement. The air grew colder with every step, turning my breath into white clouds. I shoved the heavy oak doors open. The massive indoor saltwater pool was dark. The water was unnaturally still, chunks of ice floating on the surface. Jake, I called out, my voice trembling. Silence. Then a massive splash. Before I could even scream, a terrifying force shot out of the water. A wet, powerful hand clamped over my mouth, and an arm wrapped around my waist, dragging me backward. The door slammed shut, the electronic lock engaging with a heavy clunk. I was slammed against the tiled wall, but carefully the force shielded by a broad, freezing chest. The lights flickered on dimly, Jake towering over me. He wasn't wearing a shirt. His glasses were gone, and where his legs should be, a massive, magnificent tail of iridescent deep blue scales coiled tightly around my legs, pinning me in place. The scales were dull, lacking their usual luster, and he was violently shivering. His eyes were completely black. Feral, warning the system, shrieked. Male lead is deviating from the script. The host pushed him away. Say something cruel. Shut up, I muttered. Out loud. Jake flinched, thinking I was talking to him. His massive tail tightened around me, heavy and wet, sliding up to wrap around my waist, locking me completely against his freezing torso. He buried his face in my neck, his breath ragged. Baby, he whispered, his voice incredibly hoarse. broken in a way that tore at my soul. Please, please don't hate my tail. Okay. He rubbed his cheek against mine, collarbone sounding so utterly defeated. It made me want to cry. I can hide it. I can stay in human form forever. Just don't look at me like I'm a monster. Again, it can make you happy. I can make you happy. I'll give you everything. All. The money, the company. Just let me come home. He was begging. The proud, untouchable CEO was begging completely, driven to madness by his biology and his broken heart. Wait, I realized, freezing in place. Isn't this supposed to be a case after wife crematorium system? Did the system grab the wrong script? This wasn't a standard arrogant CEO chasing his ex-wife. This was a Yandra monster. Romance script. Host, the system, screamed, its greasy voice cracking with static. He is coercing you. You must resist. If you give in now, the angst. Quota will not be met, and I will be forced to trigger the elimination. Protocol. A sharp pain lands through my brain like a spike being driven behind my eyes. I gasped, clutching my head. Jake instantly pulled back, his feral eyes widening in alarm. What's wrong? Did I hurt you? He tried to loosen his tail, panicked. No, I choked out, grabbing his wet shoulders to keep him close. The pain in my head was blinding. The system was actually trying to kill me for going off script. Jake, I gritted through my teeth, pressing my forehead against his freezing chest. Listen to me. I never hated your tail. I lied to get the divorce. He froze. What? Something is in my head. I confessed, the pain making my vision swim. A system. It forced me to divorce you. If I didn't, it said it would kill me. It's trying to kill me right now. I fully expected him to think I was crazy. Instead, the temperature in the room plummeted further. The sadness in Jake's eyes vanished, replaced by an ancient, terrifying apex predator rage. Something, he growled, the vibration rattling my bones is threatening my mate. Suddenly, Jake grabbed the back of my head. He leaned down and crashed his lips onto mine. I gasped, and as our mouths met, a surge of freezing electric energy shot from his tongue straight into my mind. Mermaids weren't just fish. They were mythical creatures. They possessed a biological frequency so ancient it could short-circuit modern technology. In my mind, the system shrieked, warning, unknown energy. Spike. Firewall breached. Host, what are you doing? Jake's tail wrapped around me, entirely cocooning me, pouring his abyssal energy into my body. I felt the alien presence in my brain violently, tearing away, dissolving like sugar in boiling water under the sheer, overwhelming pressure of Jake's possessive instinct. With a final, pathetic pop, the greasy voice vanished. Entirely, my headache cleared instantly. I slumped against Jake, gasping for air. He held me up, pulling back to inspect my face. The black in his eyes was receding, the beautiful gold returning to his irises. Is it gone? He asked, his voice shaking slightly. It's gone. I whispered, panting. You fried it. Jake let out a shuddering breath and collapsed his weight onto me, burying his face in my neck once more. The dull blue scales of his tail suddenly began to shimmer, the iridescent color rushing back as the biological bond between us slammed back into place. His body temperature rapidly rose to normal. You lied. He murmured against my skin, kissing my collarbone. You didn't hate my tail. I love your tail. I admitted, running my hands down the smooth, muscular expanse of his lower half. He let out a low, pleased purr that vibrated against my stomach. And I missed you, both of you. He lifted his head, a genuine, devastatingly handsome smile breaking across his face. So the investment genius is coming out of retirement. I scoffed, wrapping my arms around his neck. Are you kidding? I have $10 billion now. I'm going back to being a trophy wife. But first, we need to get remarried. My accountant says there are tax benefits. Jake threw his head back and laughed. A rich, echoing sound that filled the cavernous room. Only you, honey, only you. Epilogue. The second wedding was infinitely grander than the first. I didn't care about the romance, but I absolutely cared about the media coverage because it boosted the stock price of my investment firm by 15%. Emma attended the wedding looking radiant and thoroughly relieved. I found out later she had secretly been dating a female tech billionaire for 3 years and was absolutely terrified the media would keep linking her to her terrifying Fishman boss. Ryan was the ring bearer. When he handed us the rings, he tried to maintain his cool, stoic expression, but his ears were glowing bright red. I leaned down and gave him a massive kiss on the cheek right in front of the cameras. He scrubbed his face, muttering about germs, but he held onto my dress for the rest of the ceremony. That night, back in our bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed counting the monetary value of the wedding gifts. Jake walked out of the bathroom. He had opted to dry off, remaining in his human form wearing only a pair of sweatpants. He leaned against the doorframe, watching me meticulously log a diamond Rolex into my spreadsheet. You know, he said softly, walking over and pulling the laptop out of my hands. You are the most relentlessly greedy woman I have ever met. It's a core personality trait. I replied, unabashed, as he pulled me into his lap. He kissed my jaw, his hands slipping down to my waist. Good, because I have infinite wealth and infinite time. He snapped his fingers, and the lights dimmed. I felt the familiar heavy weight of smooth scales brushing against my calf as his legs merged back into that magnificent tail. I smiled, leaning into his chest. Who needs a system? I had a billionaire, mermaid husband, a genius son, and more money than God. This was literally my dream life, and this time nobody was taking it away.